and welcome back to a very special episode of Blackwater D&D Unplugged. I'm here tonight joined with Tim Carlson as we're playing yet another game of the Cryptids show. Tim, say hi to the folks at home.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you've joined us for episode 2. This game is so much fun.
For those of you just joining, we are playing a two-person role-playing game where one person plays the host of a show that talks about cryptids, and someone plays a caller who has had a cryptid experience. And by drawing cards, we are going to determine where did the caller see the creature, the physical description, the reaction the creature had to the caller, and the caller's reaction to the creature. I think that's all they need to know. Oh, yeah, no, shout it out. Who did it?
This game was created by our dear friend Annika Sila, wonderful creator. She has come up with this game, and we are so excited to play it.
And I think with that, let's dive in.
Oh my god. Okay, I finally found you again. I don't have much time. There's something after me, and I need to tell you this before it finds me again. Welcome to Blackwater D&D, where good friends tell better stories. This 4-part podcast miniseries uses The Cryptid Show, which was created by Annika Sila of Atticus House, now available through +1 EXP for purchase, who also graciously sponsored this show. This series features Tim Carlson and Sean Deppner alternating as caller and host as they tell some bite-sized tales of the bizarrely sweet, hauntingly esoteric, or just plain weird. And even if Mothman is on your Hear Me Out list, this show may contain themes and depictions that are triggering for some listeners, so please take care of yourself and access safe support as you see fit. Content warnings for this episode include complex family dynamics, death of a family member, and animal noises. So get comfy, listeners, and don't adjust those dials. Welcome to This Hour Has 22 Cryptids. Episode 2, Monkey Business. Shit, I've been here too long. I gotta run. Remember, whatever you do, don't forget to...
Good evening, and welcome to Late Night Speak. Your regular host, Blitzer Bandeau, is not available for personal reasons, so I am Lazarus Spelk, filling in for him. If my voice sounds familiar, I host the Science and Technology show here on the Iowa Public Radio Station. But Blitzer's a good friend of mine. We've become closer recently, so I'm more than delighted to take over for him. I think that this kind of colorful show is a fun and needed distraction, and I think we can have a really good time here tonight. So let's have our first caller. Caller number 1, welcome. What do you have to share with us today?
Hi, I'm Peter Diefenbaker, no relation.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, I'm from Mississauga, Ontario, and I had a recent experience that I really just need to get off my chest and share if that's okay.
That's exactly what we're here to do, Peter. Tell us everything. So let's start with the basics. Set the scene. Where did this experience take place, Peter?
I was in an abandoned building that I recently inherited from my uncle Donovan, and
Donovan Diefenbaker.
Donnie D. He owned a number of warehouses across Mississauga and the St. Catharines, Ontario. And this one he left to me. He left each of his nieces and nephews one of the buildings, and this was a...
Sorry, I have to jump in here, Peter. How many abandoned buildings in total were given out? How many cousins do you have?
I have 11 cousins, and there was 13 buildings. His two favorite nieces got an extra building. It's a bit of a bone of contention.
And if I'm keeping the count right, then that means that one of the cousins, because it's 12 in all, 13 buildings, two cousins both got two, which means one cousin did not, in fact, get a building.
Yeah, his least favorite, Richard. Dick Diefenbaker didn't get anything. So, yeah.
That's very hard.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. Really put a damper on our annual chili cookout.
Now, because presumably this was bequeathed after his death, so do you think that the damper was due to the loss of your uncle or due to the inequity in abandoned buildings being dealt out?
No, it was definitely the inequity. Donovan, I think, did it on purpose too, because he always hated the chili cook-off. Because one time he crapped his pants, and everybody made fun of him, and he always kind of held a grudge against the cousin chili cookout. So I think that's why he did it on purpose, to try to sow division between all of us. And
I could see how that social ostracization, forgive my fuddles, could be quite traumatic and lead someone to concoct an elaborate scheme to get revenge, perhaps from beyond the grave. That makes perfect sense to me. So tell me, what were you doing in this abandoned building that you were bequeathed?
well, it's an abandoned steamroller factory. I don't know if you know this, but Mississauga, Ontario, used to be the steamroller capital of North America, and it's a pretty big plant, or it was former plant. It shut down in 1993, and we used to be. I mean, before that, it was churning out steamrollers. You could not believe the pace that this place was turning them out. It was turning out at least 3 a month, which is unheard of.
Now, when you say a steamroller, I am thinking of that large piece of construction equipment that sort of flattens out concrete, asphalt, things and the like. Was that correct?
Yes, that is correct, yeah.
There was that unforgettable scene from Austin Powers the First in which a man was standing in the way of a steamroller and was given ample opportunity to get out of the way but failed to do so. Yeah. And whenever I think about that, that does bring a smile to my face.
Oh, yeah. That is one of the greats, I think. Oh, boy.
Did anything like that happen at that factory?
Yes. No, there was a number of incidents like that of squished workers. It was actually a real problem. And Mississauga City Council had to step in. That's actually why the factory became abandoned, was that the owners weren't really taking, steamroller safety serious enough, and there was a lot of really heavy ear protection. I take it. It was really known for really heavy duty because it was quite loud. It was a very loud factory, and because of that, a lot of them just never saw it coming. They just couldn't hear the warnings. That's why that scene is actually pretty funny, because steamrollers are quite loud, and you would be able to hear it, but yeah, no, it was.
It's often funny because it's true and tragic. So you were in this abandoned steamroller factory. What time of day was this?
This was, I want to say, twilight. It was right before sundown. It was golden hour, a time I really cherish. And I wanted to go get some pictures because I was going to try to turn it into an Airbnb, sort of a experiential Airbnb. So I needed to get some pictures for the contractor that I've been working with.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Peter, your connection to Twilight really it brings joy to my heart. That's a very special time for me as well, the time when the sun kisses the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it fills us all with a sense of longing and romance. And so, what did you see as you were looking to take pictures for your very special Airbnb in this abandoned steamroller factory?
Yeah. I saw he was an ape-like creature. He was on 2 legs, but he was sort of hunched forward, and what I can only describe as, he had quite a dump truck derriere. Yeah. He had an ass that wouldn't quit.
A number of the great apes are quite known for their large asses, as you would say. Is it perhaps possible that this was a gorilla that you saw in this abandoned steamroller
I
factory?
I just don't think that's possible. This creature, ape-like for sure, but it was on two legs, slightly hunched, but quite, I will say, underdeveloped in the upper body region, which is strange for an ape. Every ape that I've ever seen has quite impeccable forearms, biceps, chest for climbing and things like that.
Well, the ape-minded among us might remember the noble gibbon, which, while
Oh yeah.
lengthy in its torso, is not necessarily built, as you are saying. Is it possible that you were looking at a particularly caked-up gibbon that had escaped from a zoo that spent a lot of time on leg day, perhaps?
Perhaps, but if this was a gibbon, this was the biggest gibbon I've ever seen. I mean, it had to be at least 7.5 feet tall, maybe 8.
That is an important piece of information. That really changes things here.
Yeah,
That must have been quite frightening.
it was alarming. It was surprising, and I just couldn't get over its ass. I mean, it was huge. It really, like, it. This thing must have been able to. It probably could have squat at least 900 pounds. It.
Would that we should all be so lucky.
I'll admit, a little bit jealous.
It sounds like it, and I have to wonder, what did the creature do? Did it perceive you? Was it afraid of you?
It saw me. It witnessed me, and
It's very special to be witnessed by another. That must have been very touching.
and then, well, it strode towards me, and it stopped, and it stared at me with its ape-like face. It did have gibbon-like features, but its eyes were large, and they were golden in color, and it just remained impassive to me, like it was waiting, like it wanted to see what I would do.
You keep using the phrase ape-like.
Yes.
Do you not feel comfortable describing this as an ape?
I just don't believe it was an ape. I think this was something else.
What do you think it was, Peter?
I don't know. Maybe this is some kind of Mississauga Bigfoot or something. It seemed more related to like a Bigfoot or the skunk man or a Yeti. But we don't really have any of those kind of stories in Mississauga. But maybe there is a great ape of Mississauga.
Was there any sense that this creature was here for the steamrollers, by any chance?
I'm not sure I had really considered that. I mean, there is a few steamrollers in the warehouse. They've been picked clean for parts, but their rollers are still intact.
That's interesting because, as we know, the great apes and many of the small monkeys have a real penchant for mischief and silly monkey games, as we might say. And the idea of a large gibbon with a dump truck ass behind the wheel of a steamroller does, frankly, sound hilarious to me. It seems likely that this large ape was searching for means of mischief, and you seem to have spotted it in the middle of its monkey shines, if you will, and was caught quite unawares.
That'd be perhaps it was to cause a little trouble or something. I mean that does make a lot of sense.
What did you do as it waited for you to do something? What did you do in response?
Well, I gotta be honest. I acted totally on impulse, and I sort of turned to the side and did a squat to try to show it my own derriere. I don't know. I was sort of compelled to get into a kind of show of domination or some kind of competition with this thing.
Yes. Sorry, before you tell us what the emotional effect, I am contractually obligated to a word from our sponsors. Now, this is a favorite from Blitzer Bandeau. He would like to personally thank the sponsors Easy Hard, which I believe is some sort of male enhancement device. It's not a pill, so that's exciting. The description says that it will get you where you're going the hard way, which I think is quite poetic, evocative, and mysterious. Which, speaking of mysterious, Peter, you've really left us all on tenterhooks here. What? How did this affect you emotionally? You've dropped a squat.
Yeah, I dropped a squat. I started shaking my own dump truck, and well, I had a moment of very intense vertigo. It was staggering.
Does that often happen when you drop a squat?
No, it's never happened to me before. And I squat on the regular. I don't go to the gym, but I do believe in functional fitness. So I spend a lot of time in my garden and in my shed, moving things around. So I am used to squatting. And I got to say, the vertigo came and it lasted a while. The whole warehouse began to spin, and I swear I heard that ape laugh at me.
That must have hurt your feelings.
It really did. I felt small.
Can you describe the way that this ape laughed, or better yet, do an impression of what it sounded like to hear the 7-foot gibbon creature laugh?
It started off like you might expect, like a kind of hoot, and then it sort of morphed into a and then it started grunting like Tim Allen from Home Improvement. And then it did that for a while, as I had to drop to all fours because the vertigo was so intense, and it just kept grunting.
That is terrible, Peter. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, and finally, when I was able to get my feet under me again, it was gone.
Incredible. And there was no trace of it. It didn't, unfortunately, fall ass first into a piece of wet cement, leaving a perfect imprint of its large dumpy.
No, but it did slip on the way out in a puddle of water. And it did land on its dumper. So I did take a picture of the wet imprint of its huge bum.
You've actually, you've mailed this photo in to the radio station, which I really appreciate, sending it across country lines. Now, this is extremely blurry. I have to say.
Well, as I said, my vertigo was still in effect. It had faded a bit, but I was still pretty wobbly.
It is, I have to say, Peter, looking at this, it is difficult to, this picture looks extremely close. I'll admit, it's certainly an ass in this photo. This is a wet
I was falling as I took the picture.
And I will say, it is difficult to discern whether it is the behind of an ape or a human.
There is no way that is a human ass, okay?
I don't know, for a guy who maybe does a lot of functional fitness and is no stranger to squatting, I could see a lot of ways that this could be a wet human ass.
Excuse me, do you not believe that I saw a 7.5-foot gibbon-like great ape man with a dump truck derriere? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Peter, I believe that you had a very impactful experience, and I want to be honest with you. I am a man of science, and so far we have your word on this and questionable evidence.
I think that photo is perfect evidence. I mean, it's a perfect wet imprint of this thing's rump.
I find it odd that you didn't mention the lipstick tattoo on the rump. I
mean, I think that was probably, that part of his butt probably just did get wet, and it probably just looks like lips. And I didn't clock a lipstick tattoo under the fur or anything, or a scar or something that would maybe change the way that looks.
Well, you know what, Peter? It's not for me to decide. I believe that this is for the listeners to decide for themselves.
I'm telling you, the Mississauga caked up ape is real.
There's many mysteries here out in the world. Is the Mississauga cake ape among us, taking its steamroller out, prowling for mischief? Or is it just one man getting very dizzy and taking a very flattering photo of his own wet ass? Thank you very much for joining us. I have been Lazarus Spelk, filling in for Blitzer Bandeau. This is Late Night Speak, and keep on speaking the truth. Thank you very much.
This Hour Has 22 Cryptids is performed by Tim Carlson and Sean Deppner. Editing and sound design by M. Carlson, with music and effects from Epidemic Sound. For more stories, come follow us everywhere at Blackwater D&D, and make sure to check out our main campaign on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/BlackwaterD&D. To get your talons on the Cryptid Show, go purchase the game over at the Plus One XP website and use the code Blackwater10 in all caps to get 10% off your purchase of the Cryptid Show or any other game, including your first month of the RPG Zine Club. This show is made possible by our sponsors, who let us tell stories about things that go bump in the night and have big feelings about it. Thank you to the folks over at Plus One XP for sponsoring this series, so go check them out over at plusoneexp.com. Finally, we're thankful to our patrons for joining us on the late night airwaves. You too can come join us on Patreon, where you can check out behind-the-scenes info, our talkback show Chatwater, as well as exclusive bonus content and so much more. Head on over to patreon.com/BlackwaterD&D for all the info. See you next time, listeners, and to all you creeps out there, be safe.
I simply have to ask, as I return ever so slightly to Sean Deppner, and did both those prompts, did it, a big monkey guy with a huge ass, was that the prompt?
No.
You
I have
added
not
the huge ass thing?
I just ripped on that.
Okay, amazing.
I will pull
but the
final
prompt
card.
was that you dropped a squat. That's how you
No,
reacted?
that was me. That was me.
Oh.
I have not pulled the card for the effect on the caller. That was just what I did. We don't know what kind of emotional effect it's had on me yet. Well, we can find out right now.